The Nasset knew the war was over the moment Earth joined it. They just didn't realize it would only take hours. The alien slavers had carved a brutal path through the galaxy for centuries, conquering and oppressing countless species under the ruthless reign of Vox, their cunning emperor. Earth was different, though. A fledgling power on the galactic stage, focused on building up defenses and forging alliances rather than picking fights. For years, humanity watched warily from the sidelines as the Nasset war machine rolled on. That all changed when the UES Retribution detected a distress signal during a routine patrol. A human refugee transport had been ambushed by a Nasset battle group. 10,000 civilians, fleeing conflict zones to start new lives. 4,000 human lives snuffed out in minutes, including the family of Ensign Justin Cook. Justin stood on the bridge of the Retribution, knuckles white as he gripped the tactical console, staring at the expanding field of debris that had been the refugee ship. His baby daughter Mia had been on that transport, along with his wife Alicia. Justin had been deployed when they left, so he'd sent them a recorded holo message to watch during the trip, promising he'd see them soon. Now they were space dust. "This is the last straw," Captain Singh said grimly, her eyes hard as she watched the Nasat ships disappear into FTL. "Vox went too far this time. There will be a reckoning." She was right. When word reached Earth of the unprovoked massacre, humanity's response was swift and decisive. The time for neutrality was over. It was time to bring the full might of human ingenuity and tenacity to bear. The Nasat had no idea what they'd awakened. They thought Earth primitive, no threat to their empire. But they didn't know that humanity had quietly been developing devastating weapons and technology for decades, just waiting for the right moment. The failed alien invasion 50 years prior had taught humans to be prepared. Mass drivers that could punch through any known shield. Inertial dampeners and gravity drives that made human ships more agile than any in the galaxy. Impossibly intelligent battle AIs, and the crown jewel, the Retribution's particle cannon, powered by a zero-point energy reactor. It could vaporize a small moon, and it was aimed at the heart of the Nasat Empire. Within hours of the refugee ship's destruction, Earth formally declared war, and hundreds of ships poured through the quantum gates in a blinding flash of Cherenkov radiation. The bulk of the human fleet headed straight for the Nasat throne world, ready to cut the head off the snake. The Retribution led the charge, a blazing blade of retribution aimed at the ugly heart of Vox's slave empire. Nasat warships moved to intercept, plasma cannons bristling, their commanders confused but enraged by this upstart species that dared challenge them. They outnumbered the humans 5-1, but Earth's technology was beyond anything the aliens had ever seen. Their point defenses couldn't lock onto the human ships at all as they ducked and weaved, as if anticipating every shot. Nasat missiles detonated harmlessly against shimmering energy barriers. Then the human ships opened fire, and it was like the wrath of an angry god. Nasat warships came apart like tissue paper, spilling burning atmosphere and bodies into the void. Their hulls glowed white-hot, then sublimated into glittering clouds of plasma as relativistic kill vehicles punched through them effortlessly. The Retribution's particle beam swept through Nasat formations, and entire squadrons simply vanished, ripped apart atom by atom. Justin felt no joy as he watched the aliens burn. He just felt a cold, righteous anger. His finger tightened on the trigger as he centered his targeting reticle on another Nasat cruiser. His baby girl's name was etched on the barrel of the Retribution's cannon. "This is for Mia and Alicia, you alien scum," Justin whispered. The Retribution's particle beam stabbed out again, and the Nasat ship was consumed in an actinic flash brighter than a sun. One down, an empire to go. Justin would slaughter them all to avenge his family, and ensure no one else's would ever be destroyed again. This wasn't just a war now, it was pest control. On the throne world, Emperor Vox watched the sensor feeds in mute horror as ship after ship winked out across his holographic battle display. This couldn't be happening. The humans were insects, yet they were smashing through his defenses like they were made of paper. How had an inferior species developed such devastating weapons? The implications shook Vox to his core. If the humans were this powerful, his empire, his life's work, all of it was in peril. Everything he had built could be destroyed in a matter of hours. As the human fleet closed in on the throne world, alarms blared and soldiers scrambled to fortify the palace. But in his gut, Vox knew it was hopeless. He would fight to the end, of course. The Nasat way was victory or death. But with the primitives' impossible weapons, death seemed the most likely outcome. All Vox could do was prepare for a final stand, as the human ships loomed in the skies over his capital, preparing to unleash hell. The Nasat had started this war, but one way or another, Earth would finish it. The UES Retribution emerged from hyperspace, leading Earth's fleet toward the Nasat homeworld. On the bridge, Captain Marcus Hawkins stood before his crew, his face etched with perseverance. "This is it, people. The final push," he said, his voice carrying across the command deck. "Our mission is clear. Neutralize their defenses, secure strategic locations, and bring Vox to justice. Failure is not an option." Justin Cook stood at his station, fingers hovering over the tactical controls. His mind flashed to Mia and Alicia, their faces burned into his memory. This was for them. As they approached the Nasat system, alarms blared. "Multiple contacts," the sensor officer called out. "Heavily armed outposts detected." "Looks like we've got a welcome party," Sergeant Lee Chen said, suited up in his power armor next to Justin. "Then let's not keep them waiting," Justin replied, his voice cold. Their dropship plunged through the atmosphere, dodging plasma bolts from the outpost's defense turrets. Justin's squad hit the ground running, their advanced weaponry tearing through Nasat defenses. "Push forward!" Justin shouted, his rifle spitting death at the alien defenders. Chen and Corporal Mikhail Petrov flanked him, their coordinated assault unstoppable. Above, the Retribution's AI pinpointed weaknesses in the outpost's shielding. "Target locked," the weapons officer announced. A blinding beam lanced out, punching through the vulnerabilities and reducing the outpost to rubble. One by one, the outer defenses fell, but as they approached the Nasat homeworld, an imposing sight greeted them. "My God," Dr. Nikhil Patel breathed, staring at the readouts. "That energy shield, it's like nothing we've ever seen." Captain Hawkins turned to the engineer. "Options, Doctor?" Patel's fingers flew over his console. "We might be able to overload it. A combination of our weapons and, yes, a targeted virus. But we'd need to upload it directly to their shield generator." All eyes turned to Justin. He nodded grimly. "We'll get it done." As the fleet engaged the Nasat ships in a furious battle, Justin's team slipped through the chaos. Their stolen Nasat shuttle touched down near the shield facility, and they moved in. Alarms blared as they fought their way through waves of Nasat defenders. Justin's armor took hits that would have vaporized a normal human, but he pushed on relentlessly. "Chen, watch our six," Justin called out as they reached the main control room. Petrov covered him while he uploaded the virus. The facility shuddered as the shield began to fail. Through the viewport, Justin saw the Retribution unleash its full fury. The weakened shield shattered like glass. But there was no time to celebrate. "New intel!" Chen shouted. "Vox is making a run for it!" They sprinted to the landing bay, commandeering a Nasat fighter. Justin's hands flew over the alien controls as they gave chase to Vox's cloaked ship. The dogfight was intense, energy beams crisscrossing the void, but Earth's training gave them the edge. They disabled Vox's engines and prepared to board. Cutting through the airlock, they fought their way to the bridge. Nasat elite guards fell before their onslaught, and then, there he was. Vox. The Nasat Emperor sneered at them. "You think this is over? Fool. We have hidden bases throughout the galaxy, each with weapons that can destroy entire systems. Surrender now, or watch your worlds burn." Justin's blood ran cold, but his willpower didn't waver. He lunged at Vox, their battle a blur of strikes and counters. Justin fought with everything he had, every ounce of pain and loss fueling him. With a final devastating blow, Justin sent Vox crashing to the deck. The Nasat leader lay there, defeated. "It's over, Vox," Justin said, securing him. "Your codes now." As they brought Vox back to the Retribution, reports flooded in. The Nasat homeworld had fallen. Their empire was crumbling. In the weeks that followed, Earth's forces swept through Nasat space, freeing conquered worlds and dismantling their war machine. Victory seemed assured. But as Justin sifted through captured Nasat data, something caught his eye. References to another race, ancient and powerful, the Queer. "Captain," he called out to Hawkins, "I think you need to see this." As they stared at the disturbing intelligence, a chilling realization set in. Their war with the Nasat might have been just the beginning. Justin Cook stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the stars streak by as they hurtled through hyperspace. The codes extracted from Vox had unlocked a treasure trove of intel, but the task ahead was daunting. Hundreds of hidden Nasat bases scattered across the galaxy, each a potential doomsday threat. "Approaching Cracks 4, the NAV officer announced. "Exiting hyperspace in 3, 2, 1. The swirling vortex of FTL travel gave way to a rust-colored world, its surface scarred by impact craters and twisting canyons. Somewhere down there lurked their first target, a heavily fortified Nasat stronghold. Captain Hawkins' voice crackled over the comms. "All units, prepare for deployment. This is what we've trained for. Let's get it done." Justin double-checked his gear as he boarded the dropship with his squad. The pit in his stomach reminded him of that first combat drop years ago, but he pushed the feeling aside. He had a job to do. The dropship screamed through Cracks 4's thin atmosphere, weaving between volleys of plasma fire from ground-based defenses. Justin's knuckles turned white as he gripped the overhead bar, the ship bucking wildly. 30 seconds to touchdown, the pilot shouted. As soon as the ramp lowered, Justin and his team hit the ground running. Alien weaponry lit up the sky, filling the air with a deadly light show. Justin's HUD highlighted targets through the smoke and dust, guiding his aim as he returned fire. "Chen, on your 6, Justin yelled, dropping a Nasat soldier that had flanked them. "Thanks for the save," Chen replied, not missing a beat as he lobbed a grenade into a nearby bunker. For days, they fought tooth and nail across the blasted landscape. The Nasat defenses were unlike anything they'd encountered before. Automated turrets that tracked body heat, swarms of explosive drones, fields of razor-sharp crystal that shredded armor and flesh alike. But Earth's soldiers were relentless. Where brute force failed, they used cunning. When tech advantages weren't enough, pure human grit saw them through. Inch by bloody inch, they closed in on the base's central command. Justin's team stacked up outside the reinforced doors of the command center. "Breaching charge set," Petrov announced. The explosion rocked the corridor, and they surged through the opening. In the chaos of flashing alarms and billowing smoke, Justin came face to face with a towering Nasat warrior, Scrax, the Unbroken. The alien commander moved with terrifying speed and precision, his bladed weapons a blur of motion. Justin's armor took hit after hit, warnings flashing across his HUD. But he'd trained for this, pushed himself to the limits of human endurance. Justin feinted left, then dropped low, sweeping Scrax's legs out from under him. As the Nasat stumbled, Justin struck. A flurry of blows overwhelmed Scrax's defenses, and a final, crushing hit sent the alien crashing to the ground, unconscious. With the base secured, Justin's team worked quickly to access the Nasat databanks. What they found chilled them to the bone. Coordinates for a massive shipyard, cranking out warships that could devastate entire systems. There was no time to catch their breath. The Retribution and its battle group set course for the shipyard immediately. As they dropped out of hyperspace, Justin's jaw dropped. A colossal Nasat dreadnought loomed before them, dwarfing even the impressive human vessels. "All hands, battle stations!" Captain Hawkins' voice rang out. "Prepare to engage!" The void erupted in a storm of weapons fire. Justin and his squad boarded swift assault craft, weaving between capital ships to strike at vulnerable points. The Retribution's advanced weaponry blazed, but even its formidable power struggled against the dreadnought's defenses. "We need to take that thing down from the inside," Justin said, a plan forming. "Who's with me?" His team's response was unanimous. They plotted a daring course, slipping past the dreadnought's point defenses to dock with its massive hull. Cutting their way inside, they fought through waves of NASAT crew members. "Engineering should be 2 decks down," Chen called out, consulting a holomap. "We plant the charges there. We can trigger a chain reaction in their reactor core." They battled their way to the heart of the ship, planting high-yield explosives at key junctions. As they fought their way back to their shuttle, Justin hit the detonator. The dreadnought shuddered, then began to break apart as its own power turned against it. With the linchpin of the NASAT defenses destroyed, the Earth fleet tore through the remaining ships. The shipyard fell, along with a treasure trove of advanced alien tech and intel. But as Justin sifted through the captured data, a chill ran down his spine. References to something called the Queer kept appearing, an ancient power that seemed to be pulling the strings behind the NASAT's actions. "Captain," Justin called out, "I think you need to see this." As they pored over the disturbing intelligence, the gravity of the situation sank in. Their victory over the NASAT might have been just the opening move in a much larger, more dangerous game. Justin Cook's boots crunched on the rocky soil of Arvux Prime as he led his squad toward the entrance of the NASAT stronghold. The planet's twin suns beat down mercilessly, casting harsh shadows across the barren landscape. "Intel says the main access point should be just ahead," Justin said, his voice tight with tension. "Stay alert. We don't know what kind of surprises they've got waiting for us." As if on cue, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. Massive metal panels slid open, revealing a network of underground tunnels stretching as far as the eye could see. "Well, that's not ominous at all," Chen muttered, readying his weapon. The team descended into the darkness, their helmet lights cutting through the gloom. The air grew thick with the acrid stench of ozone and something organic. They hadn't made it more than 100 meters when the first trap sprung. A series of laser grids crisscrossed the tunnel, activating with a hum of deadly energy. "Martinez, calibrate the jammers," Justin barked. Martinez's fingers flew over his wrist computer, and the lasers flickered and died, but their relief was short-lived. A thunderous roar echoed through the tunnel, followed by the sound of massive, lumbering footsteps. "What the hell is that?" Petrov whispered. They got their answer moments later as a hulking beast rounded the corner. It was easily 3 meters tall, with razor-sharp claws and a maw full of jagged teeth. Its eyes glowed an unnatural green in the darkness. "Open fire!" Justin shouted. The tunnel erupted in a cacophony of weapons fire. The beast charged forward, shrugging off their initial salvo like it was nothing more than a mild irritant. It slammed into their front line, sending 2 soldiers flying. Justin rolled to avoid its massive claws, coming up firing. He aimed for the creature's eyes, and this time his shots found their mark. The beast howled in pain and fury, thrashing wildly. Chen seized the opportunity, lobbing a plasma grenade directly into the monster's open mouth. The resulting explosion shook the entire tunnel, and when the smoke cleared, the creature lay still. "Everyone okay?" Justin called out, helping a dazed soldier to his feet. Before anyone could respond, a section of the tunnel wall slid open, revealing a hidden passage. Justin and Chen exchanged a glance before cautiously approaching. "Looks like we found our way deeper in," Chen said. As they ventured further into the complex, the true horror of what the NASAT had been up to became clear. They passed row after row of incubation chambers, each containing nightmarish fusions of NASAT and human DNA. "My God," Justin breathed, staring at a half-formed creature that was more machine than organic. "They're creating an army." Chen's face was grim behind his faceplate. "We can't let these things see the light of day." Justin nodded, his eyebrows furrowed. "Agreed. We upload the virus, overload the core, and blow this whole place to hell." As they worked to upload the virus, alarms began to blare throughout the facility. The incubation chambers started to crack and splinter. "Time to go!" Justin shouted. They sprinted back the way they came, the sound of shattering glass and inhuman shrieks echoing behind them. Just as they reached the main tunnel, a massive form blocked their path. It stood over 4 meters tall, a twisted amalgamation of Nasat and human features. Cybernetic implants pulsed with sickly green energy across its misshapen body. "Oh, you have got to be kidding me," Chen groaned. The creature let out a bone-chilling roar and charged. Justin and Chen dove in opposite directions, unleashing everything they had. Their advanced weaponry tore into the monster's flesh, but it kept coming. Justin's mind raced, searching for a weakness. Then he saw it, a cluster of exposed circuitry at the base of the creature's skull. "Chen, the neck! Aim for the neck!" Their concentrated fire finally did the trick. The abomination crashed to the ground, twitching and sparking. They didn't wait around to see if it would get back up. Racing against time, they made it out of the facility just as the first explosions began to rock the underground complex. The ground shook beneath their feet as they sprinted for the extraction point. As their dropship lifted off, Justin watched the Nasat stronghold collapse in on itself, burying its horrific secrets deep beneath the surface of Arvux Prime. But their mission was a long way to go. Somewhere in this vast galaxy, the Doomsday Weapons Control Center still waited, and beyond that, the mysterious Queer lurked in the shadows, pulling strings Justin could only begin to imagine. He turned to his team, willpower etched on his face. "Let's finish this." The dropship rocketed towards the orbiting Retribution, where the next phase of their relentless campaign against the Nasat would begin. The Retribution emerged from hyperspace, its hull scarred from countless battles. Justin Cook stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the distant stars. The war against the Nasat had left its mark on him, etched in the lines of his face and the haunted look in his eyes. Captain Hawkins's voice cut through the silence. "We've received a transmission from the outpost on Epsilon 9. Lieutenant Keller reports they've found something." Justin turned, his interest piqued. "What kind of something, sir?" Before Hawkins could answer, a holographic display flickered to life. Lieutenant Samantha Keller's face appeared, her expression a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Captain, we've uncovered an artifact of immense power. It's unlike anything we've ever seen." The camera panned, revealing a towering monolith that seemed to absorb the light around it. Strange symbols pulsed along its surface, emitting an eerie glow. "Our initial scans show energy readings off the charts," Keller continued. "And there's more. We're detecting faint signals emanating from the structure. They appear to be some form of coded transmission." Justin leaned in, studying the artifact. A chill ran down his spine as he realized the implications. Could it be Queer technology? Hawkins nodded grimly. "That's what we need to find out. Prepare your team, Justin. We're heading to Epsilon 9. Hours later, the Retribution touched down on the barren surface of Epsilon 9. Justin led his squad toward the research outpost, the alien landscape stretching out around them. The monolith loomed in the distance, an imposing silhouette against the planet's twin moons. As they approached, Justin noticed the unease among the outpost personnel. Scientists huddled in small groups, speaking in hushed tones. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter, their weapons at the ready. Lieutenant Keller greeted them, her face drawn with fatigue. "Thank you for coming so quickly. The artifact, it's been active since we uncovered it. The signals are getting stronger." Justin nodded, his hand instinctively tightening on his weapon. "Show us what you found." They entered a makeshift lab, screens displaying a dizzying array of data. A team of scientists huddled around a central console, arguing in hushed tones. One of them, a young woman with wild hair, looked up as they entered. "We've made a breakthrough. The signals, they're not random. They're coordinates." Justin felt his heart race. Coordinates to what? The scientist pulled up a star map, a blinking red dot highlighting a region of uncharted space. "We don't know, but whatever it is, it's massive and old, very, very old." Captain Hawkins' voice crackled over the comm. "Justin, we're picking up anomalous readings. Something's happening with the artifact. They rushed outside, just in time to see the monolith pulsing with energy. The ground beneath their feet trembled as waves of power radiated outward. "Everyone, fall back!" Justin shouted, ushering the scientists toward the safety of the outpost. As they watched, a beam of incandescent light shot from the artifact, piercing the sky. The very fabric of space seemed to tear, revealing a swirling vortex of energy. Justin stared in awe and terror at the rift that had opened before them. Whatever lay beyond those coordinates, he knew humanity was about to face its greatest challenge yet. The war with the Nasat had been just the beginning. Now they stood on the precipice of something far more ancient and terrifying. He turned to his team, their faces a mix of purpose and fear. "Suit up, we're going in."
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.